Welcome to GShyt, the podcast. I'm Rhino.
And I am Giovanni. I am here to welcome Marisha. Mathis is our guest. I actually first met her at a poetry event where it was a poetry slam basically, you know what I'm saying? She put the slam in poetry slam. So very glad to have her here today. Is a woman of many talents, actually. We're going to talk about a lot of them, but we'll start off and kind of let you talk about yourself at first. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, let them know who you are, and we'll go from there.
Cool. So, I'm Marisha. You can call me Marisha. I am a poet, blogger, and I like to talk to people about writing. So I'm something like
Consultant?
yeah, you could say that, like a creative consultant.
Nice.
That is my dream job, my passion. By day, my trade is social worker, and I'm actually a licensed clinical social worker, so I'm a therapist.
And where are you from?
Duplin County, Duplin County is about 45 minutes from Wilmington.
Yeah, because you got to remember, I'm not from
Right. Well, even if you were from here, you may still not know because it's a small.
Really?
It's a small county, but I'm about 45 minutes from Wilmington, so I'm like east.
Got it.
What brought you to like the RDU area?
I wanted to come to Central, North Carolina Central, so I came when I was 18, and I never moved back.
Dang. You go back to at least visit family, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I go visit family. Before pre-COVID, I would be home maybe like twice a month.
Dang.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, so I shoot home, see my parents,
That ain't bad.
come back.
I'm from Detroit, so I mean, like, all of my family still lives in Detroit. And so, like, I say the same thing. Like, I miss my family. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I love my family. But, like, you know, like, so many different places that I want to visit and live. And, like, going back home to Detroit isn't really, like, one of those places. So I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
So what would you say you miss about Detroit?
We not gonna get into that.
Okay.
Because, no, I'm kidding. No, I mean, like, I was just in Detroit, I think a year ago now, and we went in the winter. Yeah, it was last winter, and like, they've done a lot to change the city. Like, Detroit, downtown Detroit, moving slowly into the inner city of Detroit. A lot of places right outside of Detroit. It's still coming up. Like, I mean, where I grew up, where my grandparents live, it's not a terrible neighborhood. Like, people had this vision of Detroit that it's like run down or whatever. There are some places that are like that, but like, for the most part, everybody that I know that still lives in Detroit, they love it there. They don't want to leave, you know, obviously because they have friends and family and stuff like that. So I miss that camaraderie about being in Detroit. But I mean, like, on the list of places I would want to live, you know what I'm saying? Like, you understand, right? Because, like, you've been here in North Carolina pretty much your whole life. Is there somewhere else you would see yourself being or wanting to live?
In North Carolina or outside North Carolina?
Outside.
Outside North Carolina?
Can't even think
Virginia, either Virginia or DC.
You need to go a little bit further, man. You just going like a state over
No,
every single
I need to be close to my parents.
Oh man.
Because right now I'm I have 2 siblings. I'm the one that's closest to my parents. And so I like the notion of if I need to get on the road, being able to get down there.
Gotcha.
Dang,
And DC is fire. Like, I've been to Virginia. Like, I loved it there. I mean, it looks and feels totally different from any other place that I've visited. And I've been a lot of places.
Heard a lot of good things about DC
Yeah.
too.
It's expensive as hell.
Why would you pick those
poetry.
places then? What's so good about those places?
Poetry.
Huh?
The culture.
Oh, the culture.
Poetry, the fashion.
I ain't never been.
Yeah, it's nice, really, really nice. I went to Busboys and Poets in Arlington, Virginia. They don't do poetry there, but just that notion was kind of like, yeah, I could do this.
That's dope, man. I didn't feel like that when I came to North Carolina. I was like, I need to get this promotion, man. We're gonna be it no matter what. We're gonna make stuff happen. We got to do it.
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
Dang, it actually gives me some good perspective on my brother now though, because like I'm the one that's not trying to be anywhere close to my parents. Like they're in Florida, and I don't care where I go. Like they don't have to come see me. I'll fly and see them if I have to. My brother's like always stayed around in that little circle. He ain't trying to leave. That gives me perspective on that. I never understood that.
About it. I'm always a flight away.
I ain't never heard.
But that's the
that.
thing. I don't, because if anything could happen with a flight, right?
It's true.
And that's just my thing. It's just being able to hop on the road and get there.
You just like driving more than you like flying?
I think it's more reliable is what she's saying.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Like if
more
I need to
reliable.
get to my parents, I can get there.
Yeah.
Opposed to like time zone
statistically
changes. And,
speaking.
yeah.
Just in case, you know, zombie
Right.
apocalypse type stuff.
Right.
I think that might actually happen one day, especially when COVID came out. I was like, yo, zombie apocalypse might be able to happen because now you see people like, what if it was a little weirder? What if it was a rabies type stuff? You tell me it don't happen?
I mean, I felt like that. Like whenever the stores were like running out of out of like toilet paper and stuff, I'm like, I really feel like this is like
This is a
zombie.
movie.
Yeah.
This is a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It ain't feel right at all. I kept comparing it to Hunger Games the entire time. I was like, we got some guy named Snow in the White House who lives up there who does this kind of stuff. There's
Snow
one
in
little
the
place where
White
everybody
House.
benefit from, but the rest of the people don't. I was like, damn, man, it's the Hunger Games.
Nah, that or the Purge.
That's true, Purge too, but just all the damn time. I thought about the idea of the Purge. I couldn't do that. That would scare the hell out of
You
me.
just hide in your house. And
No,
hopefully
that dude who got
I
beat up and
know,
everything
but
like that, he
I'm
had the top of the line, everything. Still got in.
It wasn't like you had a choice though. So like you either go
That's
hide
true.
in your house or
You
you
would
go
purge or you're not gonna purge.
out. Like, you ain't got
Would
no
you be a purger or would you hide out?
I'm strapping up first of all, and then like
Glizzy.
I mean the movie was so dramatic, but like personally, you know, I just told you like I feel like I'm alone in Florida, like I'm by myself down there, so like I probably be
Oh,
the type
yeah.
of person that would want to be initiating and taking care of business before I let people come hunting for me or whatever. But
That's true. Risha?
I'm staying home. Yeah, because you think about it, you go out to like hunt other people down, and it's some people just trolling, waiting for trouble. So
Yeah.
Hey,
feel
man,
like
ain't got nothing to
just-
lose type
right,
attitude.
just lock it down and wait
Stay
till
at
it's
home.
over. Yeah.
I'll probably do the same thing. I'll do like a Home Alone type thing where I set up booby traps just in case. Like some paint would swing if they got into the door, hit them in the face.
God.
I watch a lot of movies, man. You know how it is. We're going to get into the meat of it. This was actually my favorite question of it. So when we were looking into a lot of the work that you had, Beauty for Ashes obviously came up. So, with that. And it is a book about you. It was described as the journey of Marisha.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to understand, where did that journey begin? What prompted that journey to start?
The journey with the book started after I found myself in a position where I just felt like I needed to write and get everything out. The actual journey of my life, I think it's just been ongoing. What really changed directions was whenever I got born again, like became a believer of Jesus Christ. That's really when things started to change. So whenever you read Beauty for Ashes, it starts out with the hardship, the things that I experienced, and then it transitions to how my life went from me thinking that I had ruined everything, which are the ashes, to what God came and did and transformed it, which is the beauty.
That was going to be our second question.
My bad.
Well,
My bad.
No, you're good. It was like, we was wondering, we were like, Beauty for Ashes didn't like immediately, like wasn't something that immediately made sense. I feel like it's something that was special to you, and I wanted to get more clarification on that title as well, but you kind of just alluded to that.
So it's a trait. Y'all have beauty for ashes too. Like basically, if you have ashes,
Beauty.
you have situations, you trade them. God will give you beauty, just like He'll give me, or just like He gave me beauty.
Got it.
Beauty
And
for
like I think the first thing that I noticed, obviously, after you flip the cover page, is the scripture in here, Isaiah 61 1 through 3, and you talk about your journey. So you haven't always been this God-fearing woman.
Nope.
So when did it click in your head that this is probably something that I want to do, or that I need to do, and or that I was searching for?
I think 07 was my pinnacle point, but I was raised in church.
Okay.
Like my mom is a minister, my dad is a deacon, so I was always raised in church. But it's one of those things, whenever you leave your parents' home or you leave supervision, that's who you find out who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to be one person whenever somebody's like, don't do this, don't do that, be home at this time. But whenever that changes and you make your own decisions, that's who I began to see who I really was. So I think probably 07 was really when I started to realize the importance of God and start the journey of knowing Him for myself, opposed to like who my parents told me He was.
Do you think your parents were worried about that the entire time?
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. Because I'm sure they wanted me to like continue the path that they taught me.
Yeah.
So to see your kid veering from it and headed down the wrong path, I'm sure that's disturbing.
What do you mean by heading down the wrong path? You make it sound like you were raised in church and then you found it. Was there, how big of that time was it where maybe you weren't as devoted, or you didn't believe, or your faith was tested?
I would say probably from 14 until about 21, 22.
Oh, that's a good span.
Yeah, it was a span.
That's
It
a
was
good
progressive though. Because obviously whenever you're an adolescent, it's some like barriers your parents are going to put into place. But then when I came to North Carolina Central, it was just like free game.
I think I was talking to Gio too, and I was mentioning like, a lot of people, like I grew up, in church. My granddad owned, grandparents owned, great grandparents owned a church that like I faithfully grew up in. But like when I got older, not necessarily questioning like, my faith and my belief, but more so just like, trying to figure out, you know, my own journey, you know what I mean? Like you have. And was there like a vision that you had when you began your journey? Because obviously you got to the point where you wanted to write a book, and there's a lot of things that you do that we'll obviously get into, but from a vision standpoint, was there something that you had in mind for yourself when you were like, I need to turn something around? And that might be a long.
I think so. I think at the end of the day, what I wanted was peace. I wanted happiness. I wanted freedom. I just wanted to be okay.
No,
I went through some times in my journey that I wasn't okay. So that was what I wanted. I wanted to be okay.
Gotcha.
Cool. What did the book do for you? Was it a way for you to help others, help yourself, a little bit of both? Because it seems like it was something that was tumultuous, I guess, to say the least. How did the book play a role in all that?
I think it was all of the above. So it's like I wrote because I needed to get it out.
Yeah.
So it's healing for myself. And then it's one of those things like I dedicated the book to everyone who thought they were the only ones. So it's like also something to help other people. But then it's like once God gives you something, then you should do it. So it's
Almost felt like a calling at that point. You had to do it.
yeah.
Absolutely. And so you are an author, but writing books isn't your only trait, skill, right?
Right.
You also do poetry. Which one came first? Which one is your passion? Or what is your biggest passion, I guess is what I'm trying to ask, or which one do you enjoy most?
I think writing is like the umbrella.
Okay.
And then underneath the umbrella is like poetry
Okay.
or blogs or journaling. But it's like writing is just the overall arch.
So you've always been a writer. You've always written in both fashions, as a poetic or a poetry writer.
Something like that. Like throughout middle school, high school. I started spoken word I think in 2010.
Okay.
But I was always writing something.
Gotcha.
So I would say writing is my.
I was always writing something too, because I used to always get those research papers in school. You know what I'm talking about? So like,
I do.
You just saying you was always a
That's
writer.
some bars.
Like, I mean, I feel like there's more of a passion behind it. And, I get it. I was just.
Yeah. I got you.
Reiterate. Did you have an obstacle along the way that was the biggest one that you had? Maybe something that tested your faith, really, really bad after you already made your decision. And how did you overcome that?
I think I've had several obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So one was getting to know myself, the real me. That was challenging.
How long did that take? Because I think that's something that can be brushed off sometimes, and people just, they're like, oh, I know myself, I know who I am, and they kind of go through it, but it's pretty deep, in my opinion.
I think so. I think the first time I can really remember starting to get to know myself was 25. Like, that's when I found out my favorite color. No
Ain't
lie.
that something? What?
Yeah,
What
like
is
all this is teal.
Teal.
Nice. What was it
Yeah.
before that?
It was like red or blue, but I found out that red is my mom's favorite color and blue is my dad's. So I was just like riding off that, but actually my favorite color is teal. So that kind of, it's like, dang, if that's my favorite color, what else is, so it's like a journey of self-discovery.
Nice. How did you end up overcoming some of those things? You said you faced a lot of things, finding out what your first color was. What did you put into place? I mean, obviously, your religion and your faith is something that's really big. So I'm assuming that probably has something to do with it.
It was always God. It was always God, prayer, people praying for me, journaling, having people, my tribe, having people that I could talk to, soundboards, bounce things off of, people that I could just get to listen to me and challenge me when I needed to be challenged and hold me accountable.
Shout out to those people, man, for real.
Yeah.
For real.
Don't let your friends do some dumb shit. It's time, man. You got people next to you. Say something, man. Let the motherfuckers know. What did some of those obstacles teach you as you were going through them? What do you think you learned from them? Or any particular examples you can think of? Like, man, this was one time this happened. I had to do this. Learned this.
Okay.
I just gave you like an exposition. Like, this is an FCAT or something.
I think it's a couple of things. So one that comes to mind was, and I've been trying to like dance around this since you've been asking me the topic, but I'll go ahead and put it out there.
There it is.
So I was in college. I had like 2 miscarriages, and I hid it from everyone.
Wow.
Everyone. And after I wrote the book, that's when my parents found out about it. And I'm a really big daddy's girl, and my dad called me one morning, and he was just telling me, like, it doesn't matter what you do. We're your parents. We're always going to love you, and this is what we're here for. So that was one of
That was
the
awesome.
bigger moments, is really realizing that I had more people in my corner than I realized. So that was huge.
That must have been a great feeling, man.
It was.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I don't know if you knew it or not, but I was like crying. The other thing was, I think, getting to know, like, the love of God. Because a lot of times the way that I saw God was like this, don't do this, do that, don't want to make them mad type thing.
Focus
but
on
just,
the omnipotent side of it all, and that's what like gets stuck to it all the time.
well, it's not even the omnipotence. It was just like the wrath without really considering the love.
Mm-hmm.
So that once I really realized, like, once you repent, you're forgiven, that helped a whole lot. And then something else was not feeling like I had to hide everything because I felt like I was the only one.
So you had never told your parents that they read the book about any of that stuff.
Yeah, it was like a shocker.
And so what was writing the book like for you? Because I know it must have been, you trying to put a lot of yourself into this book.
Yeah, bro, I would have been crying as I wrote this stuff.
I
too,
did.
man.
I did. That's what I was about to say. I cried. I cried a lot. Even after it was published, I cried. Because it was still like an ongoing process for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things.
I mean, that's a huge milestone in itself, publishing a book. I ain't never done it. A lot of people ain't never done it. So, I mean, that's praise and kudos to you. But, and I mean, I think we kind of talked about it too, what it meant to you. And so when you started writing it, you talked about it not only being for yourself, but other people who felt like, they didn't have anybody in their corner.
Ain't the only ones.
Yeah, and they weren't the only ones. Was that always the goal for the book, or did you start writing, as you said, like it was your passion for it to be just something to get stuff off and onto the page, or was there a different goal in mind?
It was to get the things onto the page. I did the dedication last. And as I started writing, that's whenever I realized it's a lot of people who may not necessarily, like, you guys may not be able to exactly identify, but you may have times that you just feel like nobody understands, nobody cares. You don't have anybody in your corner, and it helps you realize, like, it's always somebody there.
That's a great feeling to have. When it came to the writing the book, what kind of help did you have to do the actual, like, work side of it, like the publication, figuring out covers and things like that? Because as you mentioned, there's not a lot of people who've gone through this type of process, and it may seem like a daunting task and that's absolutely impossible. But I think that hearing it from somebody who has done it, being like, oh, you know what, this is something that's doable. Can you talk about the process of the publication, the writing,
So there was this lady named Tawana Green. Tawana Green is out of Fayetteville. She's a publisher. And she actually formatted the book for me. Told me, I wrote all the poetry and the devotionals and then sent it to her. She edited it for me and then formatted it for me. And then there's this guy, Boo Daddy. You ever heard of Boo Daddy?
I don't know if I can call a grown man Boo Daddy.
Okay, Darius. Darius Carr. Darius Carr is a graphic designer out of Raleigh.
Okay.
So I called him and I told him pretty much what I've been telling y'all about my journey. And then he designed the cover art based off what I told him.
Damn.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
It's good to have some artists like that. So you just basically put your stuff on the paper and you were like, I'm going to let some other people take care of other stuff.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing.
And that's fair to admit. Some people be like, nah, I got to do this all by myself.
No, that's the worst thing you could do. That's the worst thing, because then you learn, like, the hard way.
Sorry, have you ever gotten like a reaction out of this thing? Has anybody ever come to you afterward and been like, thank you?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably the greatest thing you could ever have, somebody to inspire somebody else's work. Can you tell us about that? I mean, obviously not putting nobody on the spot or nothing like that, but don't want to expose nobody. But
yeah, I get pretty, I would say pretty good feedback with people who may identify to the poems word for word.
yeah,
For people who may have thought that they were the only ones and they were just the only ones experiencing something. One of the guys was telling me that when he read about one of my poems about heartbreak, it made him think about how he mistreated other women. Because now he's married. So I don't think it was so much of a thought, but whenever he read the book, or, like, read the poetry, it's like, dang, I did this to somebody. Or I've done this to people. So it made them go back and think.
nice. That's good that you can even come from a different example, not necessarily just, somebody that relates exactly to you and can say that exact same thing, but somebody on the other side of it, gaining a different perspective from it. And that's one of the best things you can do with your writing.
I think that's just art.
True.
Like, people are always going to have different interpretations about your art.
There is another book that you have, Risha, Close to Home. and it is the collection of short stories. What does the book Close to Home mean to you?
Close to home was like it was a dash outside of my comfort zone. Because they're fictional stories, and I usually do like blogging, poetry, and stuff like that. So, writing fiction, that in and of itself is something different. But they're basically some different scenarios to make you think about how you would feel if it was like close to happening to you or happened to you.
Can you give us an example?
There's one in there about domestic violence, right? So there's this girl, she's in a relationship with a guy, he beats her a lot, she ends up losing her job, and then he beats her senseless. She moves back home with her mom and has to decide if she wants to go back to him or not, right? So from the standpoint, from the outside looking in, you're like, dang, she's stupid. Why would she do this? Why would she do that? Without really considering how you would respond if it was like your mom or your sister. You wouldn't be calling her stupid.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like downplay her. You would want her to get help. And so basically the plot twist is like a lot of people don't realize, but when it comes to spiritual living, people do the same thing. Like people will legit let the enemy beat on them and beat on them and beat on them and then still go back. But you don't call them stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like plot twist.
Gotcha.
Yes, it's plot twist. It's pretty much natural stories to make you think about life as you know it.
Gotcha.
Which is spiritual
And
living.
The Beauty for Ashes was your first book. Close to Home was your second book. What was the goal for Close to Home? Was like, because obviously you were probably at a different point in life when you got to that book.
It was Close to Home. Honestly, Close to Home really came from God. That wasn't even a book I was comfortable with writing because, as I said, I had never written fiction before. So it was more so just letting him use me to do what it was that he wanted to convey.
Gotcha.
So
I think that was inside one of your Instagram posts where you had mentioned you being like a scribe of God. What is that feeling like? Because I think that people who may be spiritual or maybe think they're spiritual, I've felt something close to that before, and I'd love to explain it, but you're a lot better at poetry than me, so I'm going to let you explain it. I know the answer, but I'm going to let you know.
Being a scribe for God, I think it's a privilege. I think anytime God uses you, it's a privilege. But basically, it's like he tells you to write something and you write it. And then you get the inside scoop, right? Because God is a creator. He's a creative, so he gives you like these different tools, the wordplay and things like that. And it's like from the outside, people are like, oh yeah, you're so dope, you're such a dope writer. But it's like, no, God is the one that gave it to me. So it's like, I don't know, I almost want to say a cheat sheet. It's like
we don't like cheat sheets right here, right? We don't like cheat sheets. We had a bad experience with cheat sheets. Right?
No.
Oh, I remember, what is it, J.I.V. song? He was, well, not J.I.V. song. It was Kanye West and Jay-Z, Never Let You Down. And then J.I.V. was a poet who had some spoken word at the end. And he said, but I get my hymns from him, so it's not me, it's he that's spiritual.
Right.
And I thought that was one of the dopest lines I ever heard in my life because he was like, it's coming, it's not me, that's him. And I was like, damn, bro. I memorized that whole thing. What's up?
High school dropout?
Yeah, it was on high school. College dropout, not high school dropout.
College dropout. My bad.
Oh,
Yeah, it's on college. It's actually on that one right there.
It is. That's the first album he came out with, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
so he has that one on there. Never Let You Down. Oh, I wanted to ask this a little bit before when Ryan had mentioned poetry. What is the best piece of poetry you've ever heard? That way you can't say your own.
The best piece of poetry that I've ever heard. Jasmine Man.
Jasmine Man.
Jasmine Man. She's from New Jersey.
Did you catch her at an event?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just started watching her on YouTube, and then she came to Raleigh, and I just felt like I needed to be there. Because I had never seen someone to just so effortlessly use the type of words that she does and just conveys the messages that she conveys. Like, have you ever heard Footnotes to Kanye?
Footnotes to Kanye?
Yeah, she's like...
Sounds like some footnotes for Kanye.
Yeah. Whenever she starts out, like, you look like she don't... I don't remember. I don't even want to quote her, but she talks about how Kanye looks like he's not eating well.
Okay.
And how basically he... and she uses, like, references from College Dropout, how basically he flipped. And she's pretty much trying to bring him back in, like, you tripping. I need you to come
on some
back
J.
in.
Cole type stuff.
Yeah.
False prophets type stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a good segue into, especially as you've been a poet for how many years now?
10.
10 years.
Since 2010.
Wow, that's awesome. What purpose does poetry serve you? And I'm asking that in the sense that obviously, I feel like I'm not a poet. I don't write, but everybody goes through that phase that they want to. And I think I mentioned earlier, you get the words on the paper, but when you're being creative with it, you talked about it being like art in a way.
Absolutely.
Does poetry serve a specific purpose in your writing or in your life?
Yeah, I would say it's expression and communication. So poetry is how God speaks to me sometimes.
Gotcha.
But it's also how he uses me to speak to others. But at the same time, there are some times that I just want to express myself. That's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say expression, communication. Those are probably two of the biggest ones. Or sometimes just healing.
Gotcha. So you put it on the paper when you feel like it's coming from God, not necessarily from you to somebody else.
Right. Well, I do both.
Okay.
I do both. There are some poems that you write, and I'm sure like Giovanni. It's some poems that you write some people may never read it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's like me.
Like they may never read it, and you may never share it. You wrote that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I got a couple bars I done covered up before. Since we were talking about Kanye, he said I done lost better bars than you ever wrote or something like that. That's how I feel because my bars.
What does he say? It's on Diamonds from Sierra Leone. That mean I forgot better shit than you ever thought of. Is that what you talking about?
Like that.
Yeah. That's on Graduation. I remember that.
Wait, Graduation?
Yeah, that was on Late Registration. I'm sorry. Late Registration.
Bro.
Late Registration when he's like going through the doors, a little bear.
Yeah, it wasn't called Late Graduation.
No,
I
I know.
Late Registration. Okay.
Late Registration. Yeah. Yes, that was. On the flip side of that, what purpose do you serve poetry?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. What purpose do I serve poetry?
Yeah. So like I was me and Ryan were going back and forth on this. He was like, that don't make no damn sense. I was like, yes, it does. But like if you play basketball, basketball serves a purpose for you. But you can also add to the game by bringing your own flavor to it and then helping the next generation because now they have a new move, now they have a new this. Yeah,
if you
like
LeBron,
James Harden served.
No,
everybody has.
You might just be trying to get some cardio in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But you can still, you know what I'm saying? What are you adding to it? What do you hope to imprint onto poetry as a whole, or the people who just listen to yours then maybe?
I would say putting literary terms on the map.
Wait, what?
Putting literary terms on the map, like wordplay. Helping people understand that everything doesn't have to have a rhyme scheme, like A, B, A, B, roses are red, violets are blue kind of thing, but just like, no, we out here, we does this. Yeah, that's the only thing or just using not fancy words or big words, but just the rhyme scheme, the cadence, the emphasis to help people understand. My hands making you nervous?
No, you good.
Okay.
I was watching to make sure I was about to do nothing.
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, probably helping people understand that like writing isn't boring, poetry isn't boring.
I don't think anybody.
And it's not corny.
People think that. Ryan, do you think poetry is corny?
No, I mean I'm not like, and I mentioned earlier I don't write poetry, I don't write raps or whatever. I used to, you know what I mean. I feel like, it's just a cultural thing. Like we'll get to the point where you're like, I know I could do this. You try to write something. I even tried to go into the booth once, and I was like, oh, yeah, this ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? I never stick in my lane, stay in my lane.
I still remember my first poem ever. It was terrible.
Can you recite it? Is that the type of poem it was?
I can look it up.
No, we good. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just joking. But I feel like we've talked about a couple of different facets of writing so far for you, and being an author and writing, obviously your 2 books, and also being a poetry. And you've been on a journey, a pretty decent journey for quite a while now. How has this journey impacted you? And you alluded to it a little bit, but how has it impacted you, either personally or professionally? Because I know there may have been a time where you picked up other things, like, you know what, I think God is asking me to do more, or maybe God is asking me to step away from this part of my life, to put more attention somewhere else.
Look at you.
I think advocacy has part. I didn't realize how much of a part writing played in that. Because I work with kids that are involved in the juvenile justice system.
Gotcha.
I work with kids that have been abused, and just need somebody to speak up for them. And so that, obviously just being a black woman, feeling the need to speak up for that. Girls who are caught in human trafficking, whatever. Just being that mouthpiece, like, no, this is not okay.
Mhm.
We need to pay attention to this. What are
Yeah.
we going to do to change it? It's okay to be angry about it, like that.
Absolutely.
I would say that's probably one of the facets that sticks out the most.
As you talk about that, it kind of goes into some of the things that you do, and you guys can see this on our blog, where you do different types of work. You're a therapist and you're a social worker.
Mhm.
Why both of those avenues?
So technically, I'm a social worker by trade, which means that I went to school and got a master's of social work.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got licensed from the state to become a licensed clinical social worker, which is what allows me to be a therapist. So I'm a therapist with a social work degree.
What does each one, give to you, or what do you give to each of them? Why the separation of it? Did you choose to do that, or you just kind of were like, you know what, I'm starting to go down this path, might as well?
Probably the latter. I'm starting to go down this path. Initially, when I went to school to get my master's, I wanted to work in macro practice, which is more so like policy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just changed, and I wanted to work with juveniles. And
Was there anything in particular that made that happen?
getting that license,
No, wanting to work with juveniles specifically.
I always wanted to do that.
Okay.
I always wanted to do it. Since I was like 14, I wanted to work with adolescents. Okay, so here's the thing. I came to North Central to be an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
November, which was the first semester of my senior year, I decided I did not want to be an attorney anymore. And
Of your senior year?
Of my senior year.
In what? In college?
Yeah.
What?
And I didn't know what I was going to do, because since kindergarten, I'd always wanted to be an attorney. And I really did not know what I was going to do. So I graduated. I went and worked at Rent-A-Center for like 3 months. And I'm like, I hate the real world.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So I had to come up with a plan really fast. And I went back to grad school. I got a master's of social work.
How the hell did you do that?
What you mean?
Did you spend all your money on the first master degree? You got time for another one?
No, it was only one. I graduated from undergrad.
Okay.
And then I went and I worked at Rent-A-Center, got the master's. I had a concentration in juvenile justice.
Okay.
And then based on that, I went and got my license.
How would your work have been different as an attorney? Were you still going to try to
And it's
help
still not too
youths
late.
Yeah,
out?
I was still. I actually don't even have an interest in being an attorney.
You don't have any.
Any.
Wow.
¿Por qué?
Because
See that Spanglish I hit him with?
yeah, I like learning. I like
viewers.
different things. Like when I walk into those detention facilities, I never know what I'm walking into, and I love that.
That's scary as hell for me.
No, I mean it's a controlled environment, but it's just
yeah, but not because of the people, just like the work. Like it's daunting. It's draining. Like you're sitting there dealing with other people's problems all the time, as a therapist and as a social worker. I personally, that's not my type of work. I couldn't do that stuff.
attorneys do the same thing though.
I couldn't do that work either. I'm not trying to do none of that. I'm not trying to be no legal system.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be no
like,
cook. I'm not gonna be no legal. That's the two things I can't do. I know that.
Right, why
That
you can't
could be no
cook? Why can't you cook?
I don't care.
Mm.
So you still would have been helping people out even as an attorney.
Yeah, I still
Do-
wanted to work with juveniles, even as an attorney.
As I kind of mentioned, like therapists are always there to be leaned on.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you lean on? Like who's the therapist?
Who's a therapist? So a lot of therapists do have therapists. I don't have a therapist, but I do have a confidant.
Okay.
So a lot of therapists
Mhm.
have therapists.
Yeah, I didn't hear the last word you said.
I have a confidant.
a confidant.
Yeah, that's someone that I can confide in,
okay.
decompress, but they're
Yeah.
not my therapist. But I do have someone that I confide in.
That's good.
Yeah, it's
How-
healthy.
How important? I'm gonna say, how important do you think that is? Because I think that not a lot of people go through therapy. It still has this really negative context around it, even after all these years and all these people who've gone through it.
For sure. I think it's really important. I feel like everybody needs somebody. So even if it's not a matter of me confiding in, like, this is what's going on with my cases, because obviously I'm bound by law not to, but at least I can go and decompress what I have going on personally, internally,
Yeah.
and then go to work and deal with what I need to deal with, the other people that I'm working with, and keep them separate so that my personal life doesn't, like, overflow into what I really need to be focused on.
Absolutely.
Mm.
You're there for the kids.
You have a quote that says, and I forget where we saw it. Was this on the blog or?
Which one? The Jesus one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on IG.
On the IG. It says, Jesus, therapy, or both. And can you?
She said, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. And
That's way back in the way back.
you know, what is the meaning of the question, or what does it mean to you?
And does it still hold that same meaning?
Yeah, so it still holds the same meaning. That was actually like just a post to get people to look at a blog entry that I had that was called Jesus Therapy or Both.
It
So-
got me.
Yeah. So basically, it's
Click.
like a lot of people, especially like in the Black community,
Mhm.
like we go to Jesus, and so like you said, a lot of mental health has a lot of stigmas, and so a lot of people don't think that you can actually receive therapy and Jesus at the same time. So that's what I'm like, Jesus, therapy, or both. Like, can you do both? So I posed the question to see what people, pretty much it's like a catchy title.
Mm-hmm.
What people really thought about. Is it possible for you to be a believer? Is it possible for you to believe in Jesus and still want to see a therapist?
Yeah, and I can understand that because I feel like maybe what you said, like in the Black community, like one, we don't take mental health as serious as we probably should, and then two, I know like personally, like it's and people that I know who just don't believe in therapy for some odd reason or whatever, and they'll rather turn to Jesus or God, or and not do both, like the question poses. So I can definitely attest to that because I mean, me personally, like I've always like people are like, man, you might need to go to therapy. I'm like, I don't believe in therapy. And I don't know why, but like I got like you, I rather have someone that I can talk to. But I'm super stubborn, and so
stubborn, man.
I just
It's bad. This
I
thing is
just
like a
don't.
marriage, and he just be disagreeing for no reason. I do the same thing. No, I be disagreeing.
You also this is another quote that we saw on I believe this was definitely on your blog, and
Yes.
this was the Confessions of a Black Social Worker's blog post. And you say, one day I was sitting at lunch as I thought about the systems of our country. You alluded to this earlier. Obviously you serve the youth, and that's I guess been a focal point, something you wanted to do for a while now. You said, one day I was sitting at lunch as I thought about the systems of our country. I realized how difficult it is for a child to win with statistics stacked against them. And I was like, shh, I felt that. But how has your social work impacted you? And we'll leave it there first, and then we'll let you answer that one.
I think social work showed me that everyone is different in some very important ways. Meaning, like when I first came to college, people used to ask me like, "Do you have a daddy?" And I'm like, "What kind of question is that?" Yeah, I got a daddy. Don't you have a daddy? And some people will legit be like, "No." I didn't know that there were people that like never met their dad or didn't know who their dad was, or their dad was like not involved in their lives.
Yeah.
And so that kind of started my thinking pattern to say like there really are some people with different experiences. Like there's some people that don't have food in their homes.
Right.
There's some people that they may not have, maybe they have a dad, they don't have a mom, or some people that their parents are not involved in their lives. It's some people that do sleep in their cars. And so that's what I was saying, like just thinking that's what social work has done when I'm encountering some of these kids, is really understanding some of the stuff that's stacked against them.
Gotcha. And that's what keeps you going.
Because a lot of times you look at a kid that's, especially someone that's like been arrested. Now, does this mean all kids do this? No, but there are some kids that steal because they're hungry.
I
They are
stole
some
a couple quarterback chips when I was growing up. I was like, we ain't got nothing at the crib.
Lied ass
These
motherfucker.
violators.
You ain't never. Your parents had everything. No, they didn't. Oh, I thought
It was a point in time
Oh,
where
okay, I was
like growing up, like
I thought that was my bad.
bro, and I mean I can even recount like kids that like lived up the street from me that like I remember this one kid came into my house and he was so hungry that he started eating the macaroni before it was even cooked. I was like, whatever you want, bro. You can always come here and chill. But he was eating the macaroni before it was even cooked. It was hard.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, it's real, man.
That shit
Yes,
would
sir.
fuck me up. I mean, there was sometimes I had lunch money and stuff like that. My parents couldn't give me the 40 cents that they used to charge for reduced lunch, and you ain't eat that day. That was it. You just ain't eat that day. My parents had a lot of those too. Growing up in Columbia, there was days you ain't eat.
Yeah,
It just happened like that. I sure as hell don't have it as bad as anybody else though, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
That's the worst I ever had to do. How has your social work impacted others?
I would like to think it's impacting the world. Yeah.
I better get some good Google reviews out there, man.
Yeah,
Y'all
I'm
better
hoping,
do.
I would like to think that that I'm a good social worker, that I'm a good therapist. I would like to think it's impacted them. I know that it's a good opportunity to sow good seeds.
It's a good opportunity to sow good seeds.
Yeah. Meaning like there are sometimes you encounter people that you can give them a different perspective, and give them hope. Like just recently, I was talking to a young lady who likes older guys, She's an adolescent, but she attracts men in their mid-20s. And what I was trying to explain to her is like, no, that's child molestation. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
So opportunities like that to really help people understand, especially young people, that things are not always what they appear, and you got to be careful out here.
And that.
Or the other side, like I was a geriatric social worker. I worked in a nursing home for like 5 years.
What?
Yeah.
Was that fun?
Sometimes.
I was gonna say, it seemed like it kind of be fun. Like you just sit down and play chess with them. They didn't have bad memories, so you just switch pieces. Like, no, I was about to do that.
Sometimes you have stuff like that, but then sometimes you have stuff like trying to run away.
Oh damn.
Taking stuff they shouldn't have been taking.
Damn.
The parents coming in like spazzing out. It's like role reversal. So the same way a parent will come in and like spazz about their kid, then the kids come in and like spazz about the parents.
I can't believe you would do that to her, type stuff.
Yeah, or like just talking like, hey, do you mind talking to your mom because she's been doing this? It's not exactly that type of thing.
What?
So but just to pretty much just tell people like your life isn't over. Have you ever thought about doing this? Have you ever thought about doing that? Well, let's go try this.
Yeah.
So
Ryan's parents just got tattooed at 50. They was like, fuck.
tattooed
Like,
at
fuck.
50.
Not that they were like geriatric or anything like that. you
Right.
know.
I was like, how does that relate?
I thought it was kind of connected. I got a bone to pick with you, James. I got a. What is the, if you can share, what's the funniest thing that happened at geriatric hospital? There's got to be something like just off the wall, like Avengers type. When he was in there, he was like doing the physics and he was like talking about wormholes, but he was doing it with a shoe, like something like that, just off the wall funny stuff.
Dude,
You know
dressed up
what?
as Santa Claus right now.
Yeah, like dressed up as Santa Claus.
Butt ass.
And stuff like that happens. Stuff like that happens. And they're so bizarre that I cannot tell you, because if I told you, people will be able to identify. That's how bizarre it is.
There's got to be one that's still kind of.
Let me think.
I'll give you time, man. We can skip later. Don't worry. It's just a recording. Like, we'll fast forward. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, everything that comes to mind is so bizarre that I don't.
One thought it was Captain Underpants. I need something like that. That's what I need.
How you know I do stuff like that?
What? Yeah,
Like-
it happened all the time?
In a nursing home?
They
Yeah.
probably in their underwear and pajamas like 80% of the
I
time.
Well,
heard-
they're dressed in clothes, but a lot of people do wear like adult diapers.
I mean, you have to at that point. I'm
hot.
Y'all are like,
I'm so-
oh, and-
I'm so scared of getting old, though. Like, that thing worries the hell out of me. Like, the fact you lose your memory, you go back into diapers, you don't have control of your body. Like, that is frightening as hell.
Well, I've learned though is like sowing good seeds, taking care of yourself now actually helps the process later.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
good way
my
to think
grandma,
about it.
she's 94 and she's like straight. Well, she just like lost her leg last February, but other than that, she's straight. She's straight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had my great grandma just turned 98, and like she recently, probably like a year ago, had a stroke. But up until 98, like she always was up and down doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? And just recently, so like, yeah, you take care of yourself. You do what you gotta do. You get older, it'll be easy. Or not necessarily easy, but it'll be easier than like. What
You said a better
think.
course. You said a better course
Sure.
for the later years in
It'll
life.
be
yeah.
easy for you. As a consultant, because we kind of talked about that being on your blog, creative writing,
You do a
editing,
lot.
book coaching.
Yeah.
I was going to start throwing out some random stuff that I had nothing to do with it, but I'm not going to do that. As a consultant, what is the goal for those that you intend to serve?
Pulling ideas out of them and helping them how to make the ideas come to life. So let's say you and I are talking and you're like, hey, Marisha, I really want to start a blog. So I'm going to be the person that's like, so what you want to write about? Who's your target audience? Have you thought about what platform you want to use?
Yeah.
How often you want to write? Like I like to pull that out of you. And then you can bounce ideas off me like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
When did you first start doing the consulting thing?
I honestly don't remember. It just happened second nature. People were calling me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I
Shit,
just...
I called her. I'm serious, I did.
You was writing a research paper.
Yeah,
wasn't you?
man.
So it just happened.
Yeah, that's awesome. You do a lot of stuff. I mean, author, in both facets of being a book writer, a poet. You do the social work. You aspire to be an attorney, and I'm not gonna let you let go of that dream because that's you already dope enough as it is. Imagine if you was also an attorney or a lawyer,
District
a
attorney.
consultant. Like
Stuff
the
we can
list
get away with,
goes
Ryan?
on and on. You said what?
I said the stuff we can get away with if she was a district attorney.
No, okay. So this is like my confession, right? When I was in
These are my
kindergarten,
confessions.
we had to choose what we wanted to be when we grew up, and I had never thought about it because I was in kindergarten. I'm an
Yeah,
80s
you
baby.
be
So.
4 or 5 at that age.
Yeah, I was
That's what I'm
5.
saying,
And,
like-
it's eat, sleep, play. It was the easy kind of kindergarten
Right.
stuff. And so
You get them
my
fruit snacks.
teacher asked me, she's like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'm like, She was like, "A doctor, a lawyer." So I'm like, "A lawyer," but honest to goodness, to this day, the only reason why I said a lawyer was because I liked the way it sounded.
I knew he was about to say that.
And I held on to that from kindergarten until my senior year. in
Stubborn as
undergrad.
hell.
Yeah, only to find out
For
like,
no
yeah,
reason.
I don't want to do this. I literally no desire in my heart to go to law school.
And you said that earlier. Did you tell us why you don't, or you? Was it like you? I mean, senior year, you lost the passion. What
It was a
Did
false
you
dream.
tell us
It
why?
was.
It was a false dream the whole time.
It was a false dream the whole time.
But
And
you
then it
just-
was like once things started worsening, like the pressures come down on you because you got to graduate. My mama called me the start of my senior year. Like, don't call down here talking about you need an extra semester or an extra year. You better come out on time.
Damn.
Right? So, and she told me I better graduate with honors. So that was like extra pressure, doing that type of stuff. And then I had just finished like a really bad breakup
Breakups
that
suck.
spring. So it was just like a
Yeah.
lot of internal stuff going on. It was a lot of internal pressures.
I don't know. I feel like all of the things, your purpose, like being a lawyer, you'll be able to serve even more people that way. But I hear you. And I mean, it doesn't mean that you are limited to the people you can serve or, like the youth or people that you can impact
Yeah.
or you are able to do more by being an attorney or a lawyer. So I get it, but I would, I like to see people, you are
Doing their
already
thing.
doing a lot, like I said, hit that, that.
We just need a lawyer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm like, what,
We just
what
need
type
a lawyer.
Of, what type of
I be saying some dumb shit. We need a lawyer.
law,
That's all
law
it is.
challenges you got going on, Ryan, that you just.
I'm gonna keep it G real with you. You feel me, some G shit, you know what I'm saying? we was talking about the purge earlier.
Oh no.
I'm really trying to plot, and I've been watching Power, so if I could be Ghost and you could be his lawyer,
It's
you
true,
know what I'm
man.
saying?
Different world out there.
I think we could really make something happen. No, I'm kidding.
Next question. T-shirt line, which I happen to be wearing, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to
Oh,
Giovanni.
beautiful and worth
Bold,
it.
beautiful, and worth it. Where does that messaging originate from? She looking at my shirt as she do it. Hold on.
No, there was a time that I felt the opposite of all those things, and so I wrote on my mirror, and every morning that I woke up, that was what I would say to myself: affirmations, until I started believing it, and then once I believed it, I felt like other people needed to believe it too. So I put on the shirt.
I don't think I need to say this, but you are bold, you are beautiful, and you are worth it.
Thank you.
Thank
you. I
We have an
know.
all moment every episode. I like this. We do a compilation of all these
I'm gonna
alls.
get you a soundboard, bro. So, do you still intend to write more books and poetry before I ask you this next question? Or do you still intend? I mean, obviously, we took law off the table, which I mean, I might have to hit you up. Like, yo,
You're not
I'm
getting over
like,
that.
I
You're not
know
getting
some
over
bomb
that.
attorneys. I will like,
I don't have many options now.
I'll DM you like some.
We need that
some
family
profiles.
discount, man.
Then I asked that because the next question is really asking what's next. What's your next? I don't know, 5 years. What's your goal for yourself? Because I mean, the writing and consultations, the poetry, it all seems to go together. So it seems like you have a vision for what's next or what your goal is.
So in 5 years, I would love to be working for myself, doing the writing and the consultation.
Gotcha.
I don't want to
Having
be.
your 5th book published, being
Yeah, possibly, or helping one of y'all publish yours.
Yeah.
How to do a podcast.
I already told you how you can help me.
You need to get us out of jail, man. I told you. You stop trying to change the question around.
Yeah, so there's that. I'll probably still be volunteering, working with kids though, like working with youth and stuff. But I want to be off other people's time clocks and work for myself.
Do you have a nonprofit? Do you want a nonprofit?
I don't want a nonprofit.
You do not.
¿Por qué?
Wow.
Why? It's just not in my heart.
Fair.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I feel like you should be a life coach.
But I mean,
Who, Ryan?
Yeah.
I'm just
What?
So
He ain't got his own life to get. He ain't helping nobody out.
I'm just so stubborn that
Sometimes
if
those
it,
the best ones.
No, it's not. Look at the stupid twist he got his hair, man. Look right.
she got twists too. What are you
I
talking
It
know.
look clean, yours don't.
Beautiful twist. You
You
hate
look like you got some old carpet in your. Let's keep going, man. I don't care.
Do you do twist outs?
That's not my style.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
He's stubborn. And remember we talked about this
Oh,
before?
yeah.
Nah,
okay.
I'm already light skinned. I can't do that.
Oh, yeah, because they're just like,
That's
yeah.
extra. Yeah.
Don't nobody respect him.
Yeah. I can't do that.
Okay.
But I mean, like, I'm so stubborn that if I disagree with something, you know, that I like, that's the only reason I keep beating on it. I'm gonna leave it alone, let it go. And like, you know, like, there's probably, and like, we always ask people what their goal and their vision is, and I think like our vision and goal for GShyt has been to, like, you know, give people a platform, you know, give and in return also help or create a community that we can be a part of as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like, I know what my vision and my goal is for GShyt, and so not trying to harp on the lawyer thing. I just, you know, I always try to encourage people to, you know, be their best.
He does,
and
man.
love
so-
it.
Last time we was talking to this dude about AC for about 12 minutes. Like, we really wanted him to do his AC work. You know what I'm saying? That's what
I
he want
need
to do.
AC, my AC was broke. That's really the only reason I
Again, you want her to be a lawyer, so you have a lawyer. You want him to do
Right.
AC because your AC
So
broken.
he could go off and be ghost.
He
and
just-
then I gotta get him on the plane.
Could you imagine?
The next person we interview is going to be an attorney. I don't know why. I'm like, how'd you get this person last minute, right? All right, makes sense now.
Well, I was
What's some advice you would get? What's some GShyt you would give people? You look into the camera when you do it, so it's more serious, it's like impactful.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's on power, like, you know. Just look.
Yeah, I would say. Let me think.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I would say. Love God. That's the first thing. Love God and let Him love you. After that, love people. After that, follow what's in your heart.
If that ain't the blueprint, I don't know what is.
I told you, you know, just the rebuttal to follow your heart, follow your passion thing. And the only reason I ever bring this up is because it kind of shook me. And, I was listening to Mark Cuban speak. I brought this up before. And he said, you know, don't follow your passions, you know. And he wasn't telling people, like, you know, don't do what you're, like,
What
you
you love.
love to do. He was more saying follow your efforts. Because you've been doing... I feel like I'm about to bring up the lawyer thing.
This is gonna be its own IGTV video. Just like how many times you try to get her to be a lawyer.
You've been doing.
We can do a little
like,
count. Go
but-
ding.
Yeah, I'm like, shout out to Ryan, my life coach. My life
and
coach.
Underneath, I'm gonna put like $50 an hour. No, I mean, and so that's the only reason, because, like, I agree with both. Like, you know, if you are so passionate about something, and not everybody knows or understands their passions as soon as some people. If you are so passionate about something, don't let anybody stop you from doing it. But if you have also been doing something and you are good at something, like, you know, the first thing Gio told you he was good at, like, continue to do that, because you're just going to manifest that skill, and, you know, become better at whatever it is you're currently doing. So, but yeah, like I mentioned, like, GShyt for us is, you know, obviously a platform that we created, we started. Happy to be on this journey with Gio. I've told him that before.
It's been great.
You know,
It's been great. I love every
Yeah.
minute of it.
I don't like every minute of it. Let the people hear your IG.
Oh yeah, put your stuff out there.
Where you can find me on social media, Instagram, but you can call me Risha.
And then the blog
And
as
then
well.
Go cop the book. The book is still up on.
It is.
Close to Home is still up, right?
Both of them.
No, beauty.
Both of them.
Both of them are. You can get them on Amazon.
Yep.
Beauty for Ashes is on my website.
Yep.
If you don't want to pay it, I got free downloads. That's on Paste. Just go to paste.com or Noise Trade. Put my name in, Marisha Mathis. Oh, my blog, callmerisha.com, CALLMERISHA. I got a webinar coming up August the 29th from 10 to 11. Go to callmerisha.com, register for that. It's completely free. And what I'm going to be talking about is how to write your book from start to finish.
Mhm.
We're going to cover everything.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
You heard her. Register for that.
You don't like that country accent, don't you? I love it. Thank you guys for joining us today. You can obviously follow us on GShyt the podcast on all our platforms. Marisha gave her stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week. Hasta luego.
Thank you.